As you said, UN Orchid was set up at the initiative of at the request of the Indonesian government. But are there any other initiatives out there that really focus on promoting green investments in Indonesia?
Well, something we are doing, I think it's very useful mentioning here. Yeah. We're currently working on something called a tropical landscapes bond. It was started with the blessings of the president, the current president. And so it's $1 billion tropical landscapes bond facility that would hopefully be launched in March. We're working with BNP Paribas, who is going to be the issuer. The Dutch Development Bank and USAID are the potential guarantors. And the implementation pipeline is quite huge. I don't want to take much of your time mentioning. So it ranges from marginalized communities in Papua to the 12,659 villages that have never seen electricity in Indonesia, to smallholder palm oil in Sumatra, and one could go on and on. There's a lot of actors in the pipeline. And then, of course, we are working with a host of knowledge partners like Ernst & Young, PricewaterhouseCoopers, RSPO, and a lot of other partners that are coming together to see how best to harness the knowledge. Because this is something that has never been done before. Landscapes is a no-go. I mean, even the most aggressively risk-tolerant investors would put about 0.5% of their investments in some landscape somewhere because it makes them look good. As we started this journey last May, started talking to different partners across the world. I hosted a meeting in London to kick off the conversation on 9th of June last year. And everybody, European Investment Bank and all, they came up with an idea, okay, we'll put up 300 million euros. We like the idea, this is fantastic. But only renewable energy. We don't want to go the landscapes route, But in Indonesia, it's all landscapes. Yes, renewable energy is a big thing, but the impact, the GDP of the poor, affecting smallholders, giving that huge bump to the GDP. Because as we know, money at the top of the pyramid goes into bank accounts and sits there. Money at the bottom of the pyramid goes into healthcare, education, improving the livelihoods of people in small communities, thereby enriching the whole country as a whole. And that's socially responsible. So I think that's what we are working on. And hopefully, and the core issues there are, it must improve the GDP of the poor, it must help smallholders, it must help marginalized communities, and interest rates at much below the market rates, and long-dated finance. Because what you get here is 5 to 6 years finance, which doesn't work for palm oil, because if you want to rehabilitate or rejuvenate it, you need 5 years of no income and all work. So this will be 12-year finance, so which really helps the smallholders. And we're working with a host of organizations, from Conservation International to TNC to the Worldwide Fund for Nature and everybody else, bringing a large cross-section of partners together. And if it works, it will set new standards for the rest of the world to learn from Indonesia. Indonesia has been a leader in its own right, both from the non-aligned movement days till now in very many areas. Yes, of course, it is lagging in Islamic finance, but this is something, the Tropical Landscapes Bond, although it is not Islamic finance, strictly speaking, but it actually cares about the environment, which is Sukuk. It cares about people, it cares about partnerships, it cares about communities and families and the small people. So which is more or less what Sharia and Sukuk are all about. It's sharing the burden. So.
But you can embed an Islamic Sharia principles perhaps in any other forthcoming issues similar to tropical.
Of course, it's definitely possible. It hasn't been in our thought process at this time, but we see this as something that is more or less Sharia compliant. But of course, to get a certification and all, you'll have to go that whole certification route and see what is lacking, and then you can add it. But morally speaking, I think it's pretty much there.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have enough green bond projects out there in Indonesia that you could finance, that investors could access?
Not much to my knowledge. And the reason is that Indonesia has been considered risky investment for many.
Okay.
Because investors look for policy clarity and policy certainty mostly. That's the two big things that investors always look for.
Yeah.
And but this current government has really gone out of the way to push renewable energy. And we're working very closely with Vasudirman, the energy minister, who's been actually at the forefront of forging an international partnership, not only of governments. He just hosted this Bali Renewable Energy Forum a few days ago, where he had ministers from and senior officials from 30 odd countries. So Indonesia is taking leadership in that space, but also working with the private sector. And actually the pipeline that I mentioned on the tropical landscapes bond, quite a significant amount of the first $1 billion, because we think if we make it work, it could go up to $5 billion. So that's what the need is. But we are keeping it ambitions limited, not being ridiculously ambitious. We're just being reasonably ambitious. We start with $1 billion, and a significant amount of that money is going to go into renewables in difficult parts of the country. Not the big ticket renewables like a hydropower or a big wind power. Those are all important and useful, but even more useful is getting electricity to those 12,569 villages that have never seen it in their entire lifetimes. That's transformative.